Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to contain some gameplay of, and my thoughts and opinions on, the Alberian Battle Royale. In this video, I'll be sharing 9 total first place finishes, one with each of the different weapon types, and while the footage is running, I'll talk about my overall take on the Alberian Battle Royale game mode, my opinions so far and experience with it so far, and my thoughts about the changes coming in version 2.2, as well as my hopes and dreams for the future of the Battle Royale. I want to start off by kind of laying the groundwork and going back in time a little bit to talking about when this Battle Royale was first announced and sharing my first reaction, my first take to the Battle Royale, and that being a part of Dragalia Lost. So if you don't remember, the Battle Royale came out on the day of the Dragalia Digest that was released for the 2nd anniversary of the game, and we first caught wind of it not in the Digest itself, but actually in the Google Play and App Stores just as a bullet point about what was coming out with the new version 2.0 of Dragalia Lost. And at the time, we were a little bit skeptical that this would actually be a fully fledged and proper Battle Royale game mode. We all had a little bit of different speculation as to what exactly it would be, but we only knew of the bullet point in the Play Store, App Store, and I was shocked and pleasantly surprised when the Digest dropped to find out that this was actually a fully fledged Battle Royale competitive mode in Dragalia Lost. And I want to say, I think it did a lot of things right, or at least a lot of things that I was hoping for, in that it wasn't hyper competitive. There was no real pay-to-play element, there was no dependence on your progression in your main account, so you could just jump right into this if you wanted to try it out, and each run felt independent of the others and felt different. I think that there was a lot of hope and optimism for me at that point that this would be a really refreshing and exciting game mode. I'd long talked about wanting for Dragalia Lost some type of procedurally generated or roguelike content, or even something more like Eventide Island or the Master Trials in Breath of the Wild, something where you start off with nothing when you go into the quest, and you progress through the quest, and ultimately it's kind of like its own self-contained adventure. And I felt like the Battle Royale mode was going to hit on a lot of those notes. And the first few hours that this mode was released, and even the first few days, while the lobby was still very active and people were participating in this and trying to get those first place clears, it was really fun to experiment with, try the 9 different weapon types, try out all the different skill tablets. You could get a pretty wide range of outcomes each time you jumped in and played. And I found that to be pretty fun overall. Now, one of the limitations that started to rear its head right away was that, if you remember, well, you started seeing memes and stuff on the subreddit, you started seeing more and more players realize that actually the best way to grind out the rewards of this mode was really not to really play at all, and just to sort of let your character die quickly so that you could jump in the lobby again, because the payout structure for last place to first place was very, very flat. So you started to see more and more players only jump into the mode just to try kill themselves as quickly as possible. There were a lot of different strategies to do this. You could walk into the miasma, you could walk into the poison to lower your HP, use stickers to draw other players toward you who were actually real players and actually participating rather than just trying to die off as quickly as possible. But essentially the meta as far as collecting points at the fastest clip was just about intentionally losing. And I think that is where things took a turn for the worse, unfortunately. While I was happy that the reward structure was so flat and linear, it kind of made it less competitive and less high stakes than other battle royales or other PvP games. Unfortunately, I do think it kind of created this perverse situation where people weren't actually even playing the mode. So that was one of the first signs that something was amiss with this. And there were also some balance concerns, like one of the weapon types, the axe, being particularly strong, the dragon that you had access to in the first part of Season 0, Midgard Swarmer, being almost a way to win immediately if you were able to have more dragons than your opponent toward the end of a match. You usually could outplay them and end up getting the win. But yeah, there were some flaws starting to appear as more and more players dived into this mode. And to be honest, it got to the point where there was enough in the treasure trade, which was the main form of rewards for this, that, well, I pretty much started doing the AFK strategy as well and just trying to die off as quickly as possible, and I got the majority of the rewards and skins in that method. Only with the addition of Cupid did I really go back in and start trying to win again and do that to finish off the last 5 or 6 skins that I didn't have access to, and these are the clears that I'm sharing in this video. So I think there was a genuine problem with the incentive structure. I feel like there's a wide consensus around that. It was kind of a joke that you would just jump into these poison puddles or miasma and intentionally try lose to maximize on this game mode. And the unfortunate thing is, it's actually kind of a fun mode. Like, it is a nice break, it's a nice distraction from Dragalia Lost. It's about a 5-minute session to actually play and participate in, and it just makes it a little bit less exciting and dynamic if you have people intentionally losing. So that brings me to some of the more recent changes and the changes that have been announced for version 2.2. You know, some of them I already talked about that have already taken place. One of them is that Cupid is currently the dragon in Season 0 right now. And Cupid is very different than Midgardsormr in that it's a healing dragon, no damage dealing dragon skill. Still kind of works out in a similar way, but Cupid gives you some different options as far as retreating as a dragon, attacking at range, which adds a little bit different feel to this part of the season. The other thing that is upcoming though that's much more substantial is what we're getting with version 2.2. So in case you're not aware, version 2.2 is coming out on Wednesday this upcoming week. The changes that are releasing on Wednesday mostly pertain to wyrmprints and quality of life, convenience, sorting, filtering, registering deck lists for your characters, that type of thing. But part of the changes with 2.2 that are coming a little bit later on Saturday and Sunday of this coming week are changes to the Battle Royale. And so the way this is going to work in the future is the biggest thing is the points that you get for each match will now, number one, scale more significantly depending on your ranking at the end of the fight, and number two, you'll be rewarded points for KOs that you get in the battle. So it's going to hopefully encourage players to actually play the mode a little bit more. The other thing is that KOs have been changed to where now when you KO an AI, such as a Goblin or Manticore, that's no longer going to count toward your KO counter. And as far as the reward structure, there's 2 ways that the rewards have changed. One, there's going to be some type of monthly reward based on how many battle points you've accumulated in the month. And 2, there's going to be a monthly treasure trade for the battle points. And all of the currently available things in the treasure trade, they're going to move over to a special tab that I guess is sort of like the permanently available stuff. So if you've already played through and gotten all the rewards and you were sitting out of the Battle Royale for that reason, the fact that there's monthly rewards for playing, getting as many KOs and battle points as possible, as well as just trading out to get those rewards, I think that's a very good thing. And perhaps we could even see some of our Wyrmite, which unfortunately we just haven't been able to get a lot of recently. Perhaps some of that is being redistributed so that you get it by playing this mode, who knows? That would probably be a way to actually encourage players to participate in this more and play this more if some of that Wyrmite was locked behind actually playing this. I'm not sure what else to really think about that and the scales of it. It's certainly going to require some tuning. Like, I think that you want to get people to participate, but you don't want it to be where you feel awful if you get second place. Like, I think that it should still be generous on the generous side, but just that, maybe you want to at least get 1 KO or something like that and not get last place, or try get in the top half or something. Any type of incentive like that, I think, could get people playing more and AFKing less. As for the future of the Battle Royale, what I'm hoping here is that if we're seeing this kind of monthly treasure trade and monthly points total, that we start to see monthly maps, we start to see new skins being introduced every month. All of those types of things could lead this to being a fresh experience, maybe more variety of dragons as well. I definitely feel Cupid has totally changed up the feel compared to Midgardsormr, and I think that this mode does still have a lot of potential. Now, one of the things I'm going to point out here, in case you haven't noticed this already, and you may or may not have, depending on how much you've actually played of the Battle Royale, but I'm showing my gameplay here on 175% speed compared to the real speed of this gameplay. And this to me looks like a normal game. Like, this looks like this could be the real speed. Unfortunately, in Battle Royale, I feel like it feels very sluggish. You move very slow, and I think that's one of the things that I don't know if there's a great way for them to get around it, if it has to do with just this being a PvP mode and a PvE game for the first time, and all of a sudden the differences in people's connection speeds actually feels like it matters a lot more. There's a lot more lagginess and a lot more feeling that, you lost for unfair reasons, or you just got disconnected or something, or had lag interrupt your KO. I think that's going to be a little bit of a headwind for this mode in the future, is if it does start to get more competitive where people are wanting to do really well in this, it's going to feel all the worse when you get into matchups and unfortunately your connection speed is not as good as the people that you're interacting with. So yeah, I feel like it looks normal here at 175% speed almost, or maybe like 150%, 1.5 times speed would feel more normal. It's just in the normal mode, it feels like you move so slow compared to in the actual gameplay PvE content of Dragalia Lost. So that's one critique I have that I'm not sure there's a great way that they can actually fix. Related to that, it feels like the targeting in this mode, sometimes it just feels like you're just attacking the air. Like, everything feels very floaty. The physics feel really weird. It makes it hard to target and lock on to other players. And that's one other thing that I feel like might just come down to connectivity issues. But yeah, if there's some way to kind of make it feel tighter, that would certainly be appreciated as well. I think that could also make for a better experience overall here. But in general, I have really liked testing out the different weapon types. Like, I had not gone in and actually tried to do something like this. I think I prefer the ranged weapon types. I feel like those tend to have a little bit of an advantage. And particularly here with the dagger, like, this seems to me to be one of the worst weapons. But it is kind of satisfying to go invisible and then get off some KOs, as I suppose I did there. But nevertheless, I think I probably gravitate most toward the Manicaster and bow, as well as the wand. It just feels satisfying to have a nice amount of range and be able to kind of ambush and surprise the enemy. Otherwise, as far as the meta for the Battle Royale, some of the things that I picked up while I was playing through and kind of attempting these clears, any of the skill tablets that cause an affliction tend to be pretty good because it can prevent your opponent from dragoning, and you can finish them off before they're able to dragon. Besides that, I think that I think you kind of want to play conservative, but you do want to try to get to level 7. So I would say you want to conflict or battle with the goblins, but generally avoid the manticores, let other people go to them, and then you can kind of sneak up on them. I found that to be more effective just playing cautiously overall. For the different individual weapons, sword felt really good to play, dagger didn't feel that great to play, lance, which I have here, it feels fine, but I felt like the lance is all about the force strike, yet the force strike doesn't close enough distance to where you can actually ever catch up with anyone. In general, when you're playing this at normal speed, it feels like you're constantly just like chasing people down, but you never catch up with them. So if you're in a battle with somebody and they start running away, it's really hard to actually catch them and KO them. It's almost better to just like ignore them, let them recoup, and then you'll find them toward the end of the battle, or maybe they'll die to somebody else. That's been my impression so far. And really, the things you can kind of capitalize on is when there's a 3-way skirmish and you can kind of get 2 people to damage each other and then swoop in and kind of KO everybody. That tends to work out pretty well. As for the other weapon types, going through melee, axe still felt pretty good to use, but that was the one that did take me the longest to get my first place clear with. It was hard to close the distance with axe being slow, and axe was nerfed because it was too good. The first skill helps you close the distance substantially, but I did find it to be a little bit slow and not my favorite weapon type. For what's our 5th melee that I haven't discussed here? Let's see. So we talked about lances, daggers, swords, axes, and blades. Blades, I don't really get the mode switching thing, but they felt sort of okay to play. I'll be doing a blade clear with Laxi in a second here, but yeah, Blades felt okay to play, but similar to Lances, I feel like it's just hard to close that distance, but when you have your strength buff as a blade, you can KO somebody pretty quickly. And then for the weapons that I enjoyed the most, I think that Wand might top the list just because that long-range attack as well as the long-range Force Strike, it feels pretty satisfying and you can really start to knock out some enemies. You see there, I'm fighting Linus, like, it's kind of sad, right? That might be an AI Linus, presumably. One thing I also noticed as far as the meta on this, you do want to name yourself after the character you're playing as, so people might confuse you for being an AI. If you're trying to win, it's better to get people to think you're an AI than a human. And for that reason, you want to use the default skin, because I think when you have an alternative skin, you are obviously not an AI. But I didn't go with that strategy. That seemed a little bit too deep for me. But if battle points are going to be the currency of the future and winning is going to matter more, then that might become a thing, is like people pretending to be AI, because the AI will just like stand next to you and not do anything to you sometimes. So you could probably pull that off against another human, unless there's some other type of indicator I'm not aware of, like the targeting reticle on them or something. In any case, back to the different weapon types, bow similarly felt like I got that same satisfaction as with the wands with the damage dealing skill. I think staves were also really cool to play, but I like them more in the Midgard Swarmer meta. Now that we have Cupid and access to healing for any type of character, I feel like staves having heals on their Force Strike doesn't feel quite as good, and their skill isn't as long range. But in general, they have a lot of resilience, and being able to Force Strike heal and have that close range healing Force Strike, or rather, being able to Force Strike heal and have the close range damage dealing skill felt like a good combination for them. And then finally with the Mana Casters, I like the boot. The boot skill on the Mana Casters lets you run faster. It's a good way to kite and just get away from somebody, and sometimes you can steer them into another player, and then those two players will battle and you can kind of get out of the way. But overall, I think things are going to be very different, so it's a little bit hard to predict. If these changes work and actually get people participating more and trying to win more, I think we could be looking at a very different Battle Royale than I'm seeing and showing off right now. As you can see, like, I'm working with maybe 50% AI here. In some of these matches, it's like all but one or two other players are AI, at least based on their names, aligning with the name of the character that they're playing. And it's not too much of a challenge when you're just battling an AI. Somehow, I don't even know how these AI are getting to the end of these matches, but it just shows you that most players were not really playing this to try to win. And I guess is indicative that that was a genuine issue in this game mode. So in terms of the future, I like the idea that this is monthly content. One of the other thoughts that I had of how they could potentially fix this was, just like they do defensive battles and onslaught battles in the middle of a month, this to me could just be another event type. Like if they don't want to have the Battle Royale around permanently, maybe they could just make one new map and have it around for like a week every month, and it be the new event of that particular week, where everybody would be more concentrated and there would be endeavors and stuff like for winning and actually getting KOs and everything like that, where you'd get actual Wyrmite. That's another way I feel like they could have resolved this, is to turn this into more like event content as opposed to weekly or monthly content. But I am hopeful about how they're doing it. They said that the Season 0 will last until the end of December, so I'm not sure what that means for January. If it's going to be Season 1, and maybe they wanted to address some of the feedback, a lot of the trends that they noticed with players not actually participating in this mode, and for that reason they kind of extended things out. Originally, if you remember, Season 0 was supposed to last through the end of October, and I think that they were caught off guard, to be honest, by players just intentionally dying and losing in this mode. And for that reason, it's taken longer to develop something that they find to be more in line with their expectations of how people would actually want to play this. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what this mode is going to be like going forward. I wonder if they're ever going to try and monetize around this. As of now, it's just extra free stuff, right? And there's not a lot of differentiation in terms of the best and the worst prizes, so I don't think you really feel bad at all, even if you don't get first place. I mean, literally, people are just dying intentionally, right? So I don't know what that's going to look like. Are we going to be in a situation that's very competitive, like you're ranked based on your battle points, and so if you want to be at the top, you need to play 24/7, and by being at the top, you get like 10,000 Wormite and 4 Sunlight Stones or something like that? That would be kind of extreme, in my opinion, but it would certainly get people to start playing, right? You would have a lot more high-level competition, so if that's what Dragalia Lost is going for, maybe they will go that route and pursue that route. Right now, it looks like they'll continue a 2-day availability with this mode. So this coming week, it's going to be on Saturday and Sunday, but going forward, it's going to be on Wednesday and Thursday, as it has been in the past. So I guess that's going to continue to be the plan going forward, at least for December. And I'm curious, let me know what you think about the Alberian Battle Royale in the comments below. Let me know what types of things that you would like to see in this mode in the future. Other than stuff like more skill tablets, more map variety, different dragons, I think that's pretty much all I really want for it, and I'll be pretty content. I have a good feeling about this mode, and it's weird, I never really actively seek it out until I made this video. I wasn't actively seeking out, but I just did have a lot of fun actually playing it, so I'm not sure why that is. I guess it might have had to do with the rewards, honestly. In any case, as for this upcoming week in Dragalia Lost, besides the version update coming out, remember on Monday we are going to get the latest in the interludes in the main campaign, so we're going to get another one of those. Wednesday's the version update with the wyrmprint changes. Friday we are getting the legend difficulty of Volk. That should be pretty exciting. And along with that, interestingly, our banner ends, so I think we might be getting our Gala banner for the month, possibly featuring Gala Leonidas. Would make a lot of sense to make that coincide with the release of Legend Volk if Leonidas is of the flame element. And at that point, the weekend will be there, it'll be time for some Battle Royale, and who knows what's going on with our Princess Connect collaboration. I mean, presumably that's going to happen maybe at the beginning of next week, but we still don't really have a lot of details on that other than knowing it's a raid event, knowing a little bit about the banner, and I'm still hoping to see Valeria or maybe Premia, some of the characters in Valeria's story, or maybe Mitsuva's, make an appearance in that event. That would be fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Well, I think this is pretty much going to do it for today. I should be able to get my clear here with Ilya fairly quickly, and once I do, that will wrap things up. As I said before, let me know what you think about the Battle Royale and everything else discussed in this video in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.